In this video, we continue to use a strategy which does not make the best sense performance-wise, but works as far as art direction. Now, what I'm going to point out is in the header, we have 3 images, and what I want to point out is these images are all 480 pixels wide, but then you'll notice 1x, 2x, and 3x. Okay, so I'm calling them 481x, which is 480 by 800 pixels. Then our next image is 482x, so it's twice as wide. All right, so now this image is 960 by 1600. And then our third image, I'm still calling this 480 because this is destined to go in a 480 pixel wide device. So all 3 images are targeting a 480 wide pixel device, but the devices potentially can have different pixel densities. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to test for the density of the device and then load the correct image. So the concept here is about performance. It's just the method that I'm showing you this as far as loading 3 images at the same time is not what we should do as far as performance. And there's a way to improve this, which we'll see in a different video. But you'll notice we're still using our nth child and display block or display none to toggle these images on and off. But you're going to notice that we are adding an operator, another AND operator, and we have to use a WebKit at this point. But what we're doing is looking for minimum device pixel ratio. Okay, so if we don't call out the minimum device pixel ratio, then we're going to be in the default of 1. So when we load the tablet version, and it's not necessarily that this is a tablet or it's a desktop, that's not the point. The point is this strategy is going to load an image based on the minimum width, maximum width of the device and the minimum device pixel ratio. So what's going to happen is either we're going to load the one-time pixel density, or so this really isn't working anything for us right now because we're keeping the widths the same. We're just testing this part. I just added this part to demonstrate the point. So we're going to test for the screen density ratio and then load the appropriate image. Now let's take a look. And I'm going to point out real quick in case you're wondering, up here I had left the image width 100 viewport width, which basically sort of destroys this image because it's trying to stretch all the way across the screen here. So that preview is useless to us. So what we're going to do is go back to our waterfall here, in our inspect element. And again, you'll see if I reload, you'll see all 3 images are loading at one time. So performance-wise, not so great. But to demonstrate the point, let's go ahead and go to our mobile device. And I can close this up. This part's not quite as important right now. You'll notice that we have the number 1 here. So I've labeled my images with their pixel densities, 1, 2, or 3. And you'll notice that I'm testing in a device. Let's go ahead and make this larger. So we have our 480 by 800 pixel aspect ratio device. Okay, and what I'm doing is basically, if we go right here being on the loading the aspect ratio, and we edit, then I have created these custom devices. So if I go and edit this right here, you'll see I've given this a name. We have an aspect ratio of 480 by 800. It's mobile, but I'm telling this to have a pixel aspect ratio of 3. And then I've created one 480 with an aspect ratio of 2. I have one 480 with an aspect ratio of 1. So you can create different devices to emulate what you're trying to accomplish and see if it's working. So as an example, let's change our pixel density ratio to 2. And you'll see everything appears the same, but you'll see the number 2 here now. Now look at the type right here where I'm moving the cursor around at the top of the banner where it says Steam Aviator. And let's go ahead and change this back to 1. Do you see the quality of the image change? Well, we're adding basically in effect resolution. We're adding a bigger image and squishing it into smaller pixels, if you will. So let's try 480 at a 3 time. And in fact, we see that in fact image 3 is being added here. And now let's toggle back to 2. And as a matter of fact, we'll go all the way back to 1. And just look at the type, our Steam Aviator, and see how much things change. Okay, so someone would not know if they're using a one-time device as opposed to someone somewhere else with a 3-time device, other than the person with the 3-time pixel density ratio device is just going to have a better image on the screen. But that better image comes at a cost of a larger file size. So let's go ahead and let's get out of this, and we'll go back real quick. And you'll notice if we just look right here that our one-time device 54.6, our 2-time 136, more than double, approaching 3 times the size. And then the person with a 483 pixel density, they're now loading an image that's 222 kilobytes. Okay, so is that a big deal? Well, yes and no. It depends on bandwidth, depends on the device, it depends on the connection of the network. There are these different variables, and as a designer, as a developer, you have to sort of figure out, again, from the point of user experience, does your user expect a fast, efficient experience? Does your user really expect just a knockout image? Or is it somewhere in between? Okay, so you have to know your audience, you have to understand what they want, and then you have to provide them the experience, which is both speed and quality. So sometimes you have to give a little to get a little sort of thing.